How is that for a fight card? That's exactly what UFC 304 should have been. I'm so excited. Let's talk about it. Guys, welcome to the episode. Oh my Lord, I am so happy. I feel revitalized because the fight card UFC Abu Dhabi, Sandhagen versus Nurmagomedov, completely washed out any feelings of boredom, any feelings of depression I had from watching UFC 304, the complete snooze fest, second worst pay-per-view event of 2024. But this fight card coming a week later completely decimated it and delivered. Thank you, UFC. If that was planned, I don't know. I'm going to get into these, I'm going to get into the following topics, right? We're going to talk about Figueiredo versus Chito Vera. I'm going to share my thoughts on that. We're going to talk about Tony Ferguson, El Kukui. My thoughts are coming on that as well. Stick around. Belal Muhammad, the new welterweight champion, is picking up beefs all over the place with his contemporaries. I'm going to share my thoughts on that one as well. And then last but not least, we're going to talk about, what is it? Pereira, Alex Pereira and Jake Paul and the updates from their boxing matches or potential boxing match. It's not like, the results of this, it's not like we didn't see it coming, right? And finally, I share my thoughts on Cory Sandhagen versus Umar Nurmagomedov. If you guys want to see this, just stick around. Listen, stay till the end, watch, share your thoughts as always. But before you do so, or before I continue, guys, click the like button, click the subscribe button if you're seeing this for the first time. I welcome you to the channel. Now, welcome once again to the episode. Let us have a conversation about UFC Abu Dhabi Fight Night, Sandhagen versus Nurmagomedov. First things first, I think I'm going to dig into Figueiredo versus Chito Vera. For those of you who do not know, Figueiredo was a former UFC flyweight champion. The first of is one side of two men who have had the very first and only quadrilogy. That's the best way I can say it. It definitely wasn't a trilogy. I'll call it a quadrilogy. So a rivalry that spanned 4 title fights. That was 8, damn it. 4 title fights. Never happened in the UFC. Typically, UFC rivalries end up in trilogies or it's 2 fights. Typically, that's just what happens. But with Figueiredo versus Brandon Moreno, and I'm gonna have to go back to get exactly who won what. But I know one fight was a draw. I know the second fight was, I think I get it. The first fight was a draw, it was a barn burner. The second fight was won by Brandon Moreno, where he wins the flyweight championship for the first time. The third fight, Figueiredo reclaimed the flyweight title, and then the fourth and final fight in that quadrilogy, the only quadrilogy, was won by Brandon Moreno. After that last fight, Figueiredo made the decision to move up to Bantamweight, a division that is about 10 pounds more than the division where he reigned as the champion. Now, listen, we all know flyweights are pretty small, right? But they move like they move lightning fast. But they're pretty small, even though they have a lot of skill. But I've always thought that Deiveson Figueiredo, my biggest concern with him moving up divisions, my biggest concern was that Deiveson Figueiredo was too small for the bantamweight division. But the man has sort of proved me wrong. He's gone 3-0 in the bantamweight division, firmly getting into that division, making work of his opponents, and eventually being ranked. Look at you. Deiveson Figueiredo is in a position where he may be soon fighting for a title. And I wonder what that looks like. You have Sean O'Malley versus Deiveson Figueiredo if it ever gets there. Like there's such a discrepancy in the size. And that was displayed also in the fight against Chito Vera at UFC Abu Dhabi Fight Night, Cory Sandhagen versus Umar Nurmagomedov. On the main card, Deiveson Figueiredo was booked to fight Marlon Chito Vera. Now, Chito is coming off a loss, a title fight loss to Sean O'Malley, where he was completely decimated, completely chopped down, completely grinded, completely blended, completely pieced up by Sugar Sean O'Malley. So to restart another title run, he had to face Deiveson Figueiredo. Now, even at the weigh-ins, I think Figueiredo came in at 135 pounds and Chito came in at 136 pounds, which is the division limit for a fight. And that's on the day of weigh-in. You can imagine what it was like, what Chito's size was like when he must have rehydrated before the fight. But Chito came in there looking a bit chunky, right? Clearly had a size advantage over Deiveson Figueiredo. But guess what? Figueiredo showed a lot of heart. He showed a lot of heart. I had that fight 2-1, with Figueiredo taking 2 rounds and Chito Vera taking 1 round. And for the first time ever in Chito's career in the UFC, Deiveson Figueiredo dropped Chito Vera. Chito's never been dropped. Not that I can remember, but Chito has never been dropped, and Figueiredo, the smaller guy, dropped Chito and had at least 2 successful takedowns on Chito during the entire fight. I thought Figueiredo showed a lot of spirit, a lot of heart, and a lot of skill too. I sort of underestimated his grappling because typically Figueiredo doesn't go in there to really grapple, even though he's had some very, very, very good finishes. The finish with Joseph Benavidez comes to mind, but I've always thought that Deiveson Figueiredo possesses one-punch knockout power for his division, which is the flyweight. But listen, the guy came in there and he did his thing. He really put it on Chito. It looked to me like he was gassing out somewhere in the fight, and I think Sean O'Malley even pointed that out on Twitter, that Figueiredo was gassing out. But regardless, you've got to give the man some heart, right? He went in there and completely, he put the beating on Chito. And speaking of Chito, bro, how can you go into a fight with Deiveson Figueiredo that you have such a massive size advantage over and lose 2-1? Bro, how? Listen, not to take anything from Figueiredo, he went in there and he did his thing. But I would think that Chito, with his track record, should be making light work of Deiveson Figueiredo. It's never really it's never really a good idea to move up divisions to fight the guys who are bigger than you, because it's a clear size advantage, right? But some guys have done it, and I mean, Conor has done it, DC has done it, and a lot of other guys. John Jones did it, where they go up there and, you know, they take out the guys in the higher, bigger division. And Deiveson Figueiredo's name has been thrown into that conversation, and also Deiveson Figueiredo's name has been thrown into a potential title fight at Bantamweight. Very interesting. The Bantamweight division is really moving. I love it. I love it. I love momentum. I love how that shit is playing out, you know. It's important to note that this fight card had very strong implications for the next potential title shot after Merab and Sugar Sean do their thing at Noche UFC on September 14th. A lot of implications, and I'm going to get into that later. But congrats to Deiveson Figueiredo. It was a well-earned victory. And he called out the winner of the Sean O'Malley and Merab fight. I don't know if he's ready to get a title shot yet. What is he? What is Chito's ranking? I'm going to have to check that. Chito has a ranking now. I think Chito is probably next to Merab in terms of number on the ranking, you know, because he just lost literally a title shot to Sean O'Malley. And if Deiveson Figueiredo beat him up, it's possible. It's possible. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think Figueiredo will be given a title shot just yet. I think he might just do one more fight, then go for a title shot. It's a weird situation for the matchmakers, I think, in that division right now. I think the matchmakers may need to sit that one down. They need to sit down and really think very well about the next move for a title shot in that division. You know? Anyway, we transition now. Transitioning to so recently, Uncle Dana shut down any chance of Alex Pereira, the UFC light heavyweight champion, ever boxing Jake Paul. Did we see that coming or not? I mean, who didn't see that? Who didn't see that coming? We all know. Dana ain't gonna fall for that. Dana was not going to fall for that. I already knew it, right? You need a supreme kind of star power to be able to get Dana White to allow you cross over to another sport and be promoted by the UFC. And Conor McGregor is the only person to have successfully done that. And Conor's star power is in the stratosphere. Whether or not he fights, the moment Conor talks, it's news. The moment Conor tweets, it's news. It's news. Anything Conor does is news. Conor might go on his yacht, eat some ice cream, post it online. That's news. Millions of views, right? That's the kind of star power Conor has. And that is why the UFC at the time allowed Conor to cross over to have the Maymac fight, which I think was a pretty good decision. They both made money. Both promotions made money. If you don't have that kind of star power, I don't think the UFC will ever do it. And that's not to take away from Alex Pereira's star power. I think I would pay to watch Alex Pereira box Jake Paul, but I don't believe Alex Pereira, as good as he is, has that kind of star power to make the UFC risk moving him to boxing to fight Jake Paul. I mean, what's at stake here? What are we talking about? Jake Paul doesn't even bring in those kind of numbers. He really doesn't, you know. I don't know. I don't know who's outside boxing. Maybe Alex Pereira versus Francis Ngannou, maybe Alex Pereira versus Anthony Joshua, Alex Pereira versus Deontay Wilder. It's possible. It has to be like the real peak of boxing's heavyweight division. I don't think Alex Pereira should fight anybody less than his size in boxing. I don't know, but Jake Paul has lofty ambitions. I don't think that's going to play out in his favor. But let's see. Money talks, bullshit walks. That's the old saying. I think if enough money is on the line, maybe Dana White might consider pulling that one off. I don't see it. Like I said in the past, Dana has a better relationship with Logan Paul than he does with Jake Paul. He doesn't like Jake Paul. Jake Paul doesn't like Dana either. So it's mutually consensual, the beef between Dana and Jake Paul. And I just wonder how is Dana able to pull off such a good business and personal relationship with Logan Paul, but completely has the opposite relationship with Jake Paul, who is Logan Paul's brother. I don't know. I don't know how he does it, but again, money talks, bullshit walks. So if all of you all you casuals who ever thought that Dana was gonna come through with that because Jake Paul called out Alex Pereira, sorry to have your dreams dashed. You should have known that Dana will not do it. You should have known that. Who didn't see that writing on the wall? I did, right? Anyway, transition. All right. This one, I'm going to try to be very delicate about this next topic. Tony Ferguson, aka El Kukui. I am going to give it to you straight, no chaser, and I'm going to be very blunt. Tony, I love you, and I think you are a phenomenal athlete. But it's officially time to put down the gloves and call it a day for what seems to be a declining, illustrious career in MMA. And I say declining because, my goodness, I don't know if anybody has, I don't think I've ever seen any athlete who has had as much of a losing streak like Tony Ferguson. I've never seen any athlete have that much losing streak and still be in the UFC and unretired. I've never seen a former interim champion who has had that much of a losing streak and is still in the UFC and not retired. I've never seen anybody, any athlete. At this point, Tony, you are almost like a crash dummy for the light heavyweight or welterweight division. Doesn't matter what division you move up to, you are a crash dummy. And I respect, I'm saying this very respectfully, I really think you should call it a day. I really think so. You have been lined up and fed to so many people who are using you as a platform to elevate themselves in the rankings or in any division that you fight. And now you just lost to Michael Chiesa very easily. Chiesa had that fight won very easily, I believe, in the second round. Listen, Tony, I saw it in your eyes when you were doing the interview, the post-fight interview, and DC was asking you about retirement. I saw it in your eyes that you knew the right thing to do was to retire on the spot, but something in you, something something in your spirit has refused to let you retire in honor. So you did the first, which is you put one glove down on the octagon and held one glove in your other hand, indicating that you're not sure you want to retire. Bro, everybody at this point wants you to retire. Dana wanted you to retire maybe about 3 or 4 fights ago. And far from it to decide for anybody when to put out their own internal fire. It's not that is not me. I will not say, I will not try to discourage anybody who has a fire in them to fight, because I don't even believe that I even understand that fire of a fighter. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe I understand that, because I'm not a fighter. I'm just a casual. I understand the casual fire, but I do not understand the fighter's fire. So I can't tell you not to retire. I can't tell you to retire and keep going, but I would advise that you do, bro. I would advise that you do. Enough with the Tony Ferguson losses and the memes that are coming out of these losses online. When you succeeded, you went on a fantastic run. I believe your highest win streak was what, a 12-fight win streak that included delicious names like Donald Cerrone, Anthony Pettis, right? Who else? Kevin Lee, for starters. You almost fought Khabib several times. You know, unfortunately, that didn't pan out. But we all know how that result would have gone. But at this point, bro, call it a day. Don't waste that illustrious and beautiful career that you once had. Don't let it end this way. Don't let it end this way. Do the honorable thing. Call it a day, Tony. Call it a day. Right? And I hope you have a good enough investment. I hope there's enough money set aside for this retirement to happen so that you no longer have to fight to make money. You're a big enough star. I think if you go the route of producing certain kinds of products for yourself, you already have the fan base to do it. There are many ways for you to make money outside the octagon at this point. So please, Tony, don't do it. You're not going to get a title shot. So I wonder what are you fighting for? Let's even assume you got back into the W, right? Do you want to get a W and go for a title shot at your age and at this point in the division? And what division, by the way? Welterweight, lightweight, what division do you want to run for a title shot? Either division that you are fighting at, Tony, you can't get it done. I'm not saying this to discourage you. I'm saying this because the numbers do not lie. You've had so many losses. It's unfortunate to see the decline that we are witnessing right before our eyes. My appeal, Tony, please call it a day. Whatever integrity you have left, call it a day. Okay? Your stock will not go down if you retired this very moment. Nobody's gonna complain. I predict you still want to have one more fight and see if you want to get in the W or retire on a win. That's what you're trying to do. There's always the 50 minimum. Actually, at this point, it's more than 50% now. At this point in your career, there's probably an 80% chance that if you take one more fight, you're going to lose. And why add that? Right? Think about it. In your 12-fight win streak, you've lost what? Right? You had a 12-fight run undefeated. That's where you became El Kukui, and then you've had like a 7 or 8 fight lots. Bro, that is insane to think about. It's like 7 and 12. What? No. Yeah. Listen, I can't do the math right now because I'm a dumbass casual. But man, you had so many losses, they're almost catching up with your winning streak. Your losing streak is almost catching up with your winning streak. If that doesn't tell you anything about the decisions you need to make to move forward in whatever path you have in life, I don't know what is. You're a grown man. At the end of the day, it's not up to us to tell you what to do, but at least you should listen. The numbers don't lie. That's all I'll say about that, Tony Ferguson. Now, okay guys, so I want to transition to Cory Sandhagen. I have a little confession to make. I am a huge fan of Cory Sandhagen. I completely love that dude. I love his fight style. I love his determination, his mental fortitude, right? And I love his fighter IQ. I've never really said that, but I'm telling you right now, Cory, doesn't matter who he's fighting, I think Cory Sandhagen is a badass in the bantamweight division, and even if he goes up to 145, he's tall enough to be in that division. He's pretty big for bantamweight. I'm telling you, I love that dude. I love watching him fight. I love seeing how he's able to decipher opponents and win them. But he had his hands full in taking on the undefeated Umar Nurmagomedov, the cousin of Khabib Nurmagomedov, the Great Eagle. So maybe we should call Umar the Young Eagle, right? When guys have a name, Nurmagomedov, attached to them in fighting, you already sort of know what's happening in that department, right? That's a big ass name to, that's a big ass pressure to go into, and that's always going to be a deadly and difficult opponent. Umar came into this fight very lowly ranked in the bantamweight division because nobody wanted to fight him in that division. The only person that stepped up was Cory Sandhagen. And Cory stepped up sometime last year, I believe. They were supposed to fight the first time in 2023. That fell off, and I believe Umar had some issues, and that fight didn't happen. Cory took another fight and then rebooked. He took another fight, he won that fight, and then he rebooked to fight Umar Nurmagomedov. And you guys have to understand just how much of a badass Cory Sandhagen is, right? The Sandman. Cory Sandhagen is ranked number 2 in the bantamweight division. He's been on a 3-fight win streak. He did not have to take this fight. He didn't. He had more to lose than to gain. Sort of like a situation with Aspinall and Curtis Blades too. I'll say it every day. Aspinall did not have anything to gain in that fight. He had everything to lose. The same situation happened just now with Cory Sandhagen and Umar Nurmagomedov. But guess what? Sandhagen stepped up to fight Umar Nurmagomedov and made it a main event. Now, if I'm being honest, right, it was a closely contested fight. I thought Cory won the first round, and then I think subsequent round 2, 3, 4, and 5, Umar Nurmagomedov won those rounds. And did you guys notice, if you watched the fight, did you notice that for round 2 to 5, Umar Nurmagomedov always took Cory down somewhere around the last 30 seconds of each round. He outstruck Cory, which is remarkable because Cory Sandhagen is a fantastic striker. But Umar Nurmagomedov outstruck Cory. He had more ground control time and he had more takedowns. I don't even think Cory attempted any takedown. You know, it was very obvious to me by the 3rd round that, yeah, Cory needs to step it up. He needed a finish. By the 5th round, going into the 5th round, I was like, all right, If there's no finish, forget it. Umar would win that fight, and Umar did. But it was a closely contested fight. The fact that Cory wasn't finished tells you everything. And besides that, this is Umar Nurmagomedov's most difficult fight so far. And it came at the hand of Cory Sandhagen. And I'm telling you, listen, Cory needs to be more strategic now with his fight choices, right? I understand the whole, anyone, anywhere, anytime. Fight anyone, anywhere, anytime. I understand that. But when you are in certain positions, ultimately your goal is for the title, right? You take fights that can make your chances at the title shot higher. You take fights that can add value to your title run to give you a better chance or to put you in a better position to fight for a title. And I don't believe that this fight with Umar Nurmagomedov did that for Cory Sandhagen. But that doesn't mean Cory's stock is down, right? He saw a risk, he took the risk, it didn't go in his favor, but his stock went up. Stock went up, But I just believe that on his next title run, because he's still young enough to do another title run, I think he should be more strategic in the fights that he picks. I'm not saying pick easy fights, but just pick fights that will put you in a better position for a title shot. I think Cory could have waited this one out, and if he had waited it out, he would have still possibly gotten a title shot even if he didn't fight anybody, Listen, guys, it would be such a beautiful dream fight. Do you know what a dream fight would be for me to see? Cory Sandhagen versus Sugar Sean O'Malley. Guys, who do you think will win that fight? Who do you got? Can you imagine the kind of movements that will be in that fight? Can you imagine the kind of chess, fight IQ that's going to be involved in a fight between Sugar Sean O'Malley and Cory Sandhagen? I'd rather see Sugar Sean fight Cory Sandhagen than Umar Nurmagomedov or Merab. I really would. That would be such a fun fight. And it's going to be professional. It's not anything to do with beef or bad blood. It's just going to be a beautiful display of MMA tactics, techniques, and fight IQ. I hope I see it, right? Whoever Cory Sandhagen faces, my fingers are crossed for him. I will always root for Cory. Doesn't matter who he faces. I will always root for him. Unless, of course, he faces Sugar Sean, who I really like as well, and I like Sean's fight style. Then I'd probably be neutral and I'd say, may the best man win, right? But hats off to Umar Nurmagomedov. He got the W. May most likely, he beat the number 2 guy in the division, and he may most likely get the next shot at the winner of Merab versus Sean O'Malley. Let's wait till September 14, 2024 to know how that plays out, right? There's no guarantees in this game. No guarantees whatsoever. We only know the possibility or probability of another fight happening or the possibility of a title shot after we've seen a title fight happen. That's the only time we know what the probabilities are for the next contender to have a title shot, So I'm looking forward to that. And hats off to Cory all day, every day. I'm a big Cory fan. I will always root for Cory Sandhagen. That's my dude. I love Cory Sandhagen. Cory, if you see this, listen, you are the man. You are the man. If I could ever pick somebody to train with, it will be Cory Sandhagen. I just completely love that dude, right? All right, time to get off Cory's dick. Let me go on and transition to something else. So, Bully B, aka Belal Muhammad, the recently crowned welterweight champion. Listen, guys, Belal recently displayed the most disrespectful championship celebration that I've ever seen in my life. Bro won the belt after ragdolling Leon Edwards all over the octagon and planting Leon's head. I will never stop saying that. Planting Leon's head in the canvas. Bro rode through, this is Belal, he rode through Manchester celebrating with celebrating with the belt. That is some ballsy ass shit. You roll in the enemy territory, you drive in enemy territory, you do a celebratory parade, you do a celebration drive in the hometown of the opposition after you win. That's some ballsy ass shit. That sort of reminds me of the opening scene from the movie Troy. If you guys never seen it, Troy starring Brad Pitt and Eric Bana and a lot of other people, Brian Fox and Nathan Jones, a lot of people. The opening scene where Achilles takes out Belarius, right? And then one swift strike of the sword takes out Belarius, and then Achilles walks to the front of Belarius's colleagues, and he says, "Is there no one next?" That was fucking ballsy, and nobody stepped up. That's sort of how I liken Belal's parade run celebration through Manchester. It was so funny to watch. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. What I'm here to talk about is Belal Muhammad literally having new beef. Apparently, I saw Belal went online and completely verbally decimated a lot of his contemporaries who didn't believe in him or his fighting skills. I mean, he had words for Alexander Volkanovski, the great Volk, my man. Belal had words for Kamaru Usman, who's also in the same division with him. And you know, that's a potential fight, depending on how Usman fights for the next couple of fights. And then Belal had words for Demetrius Johnson. Bro, why do you have words for Demetrius Johnson? Everybody loves DJ. Everybody loves Demetrius Johnson. Come on now, Belal. But listen, Belal can run his mouth all day. He has earned it. He's fresh off that win, and a dominant win, and everybody wrote him off. Let's be honest, a lot of people wrote off Belal Muhammad. So for him to go there and prove everybody wrong, Belal has bragging rights. He really does, right? This beef, he talked about Alexander Volkanovski, and I think Volk replied on social media telling him, like, listen, tell me to my face that you want to smack the shit out of me. Paraphrasing there. But tell me to my face when you see me. And Belal is like, yeah, bring it. And I'm like, Volk has mentioned in the past that he could fight Belal. But I'm like, I don't know if that's going to be a fight I want to see. Volk going up 2 weight classes to fight Belal. It's a hard one. He couldn't get past Islam Makhachev, who was, just 10 pounds on him. Now, I understand that Volkanovski used to be a heavyweight. He's moved around and walked around at heavyweight during his rugby days. But it's very different to carry that weight at that height and try to translate that into fighting skills in MMA. It's very different. This ain't rugby. Will he have the same kind of movement, the same kind of speed, the same kind of footwork at welterweight? If he decides to fight Belal, there will be definitely a big size discrepancy. And I understand that Volk can wrestle, and Volk is a good striker. Volk's style will actually match very well against Belal. But I don't know if there's any point for that fight, right? I don't even think this beef makes any sense. I really don't. I don't know. They say, it makes no sense to me. All I know is Belal has bragging rights. Nobody can tell Belal anything right now. Let that man enjoy his win. Let that man be comfortable in hyping himself up. He believed in himself when nobody did. Let that man speak up. Let that man say anything he has to say right now. Really, y'all will just have to eat your words. Right? But please, Belal, put Demetrius Johnson's name out your mouth, man. Demetrius Johnson has a fight IQ that is highly unmatched in MMA. His achievements, you ain't even come close to achieving what Demetrius Johnson has achieved in mixed martial arts, period. To when Demetrius talks, we most likely listen. Now, listen. At the end of the day, I'll tell you something. One of the most difficult things to predict in life is a mixed martial arts fight, because there's so many ways it can go. And that's why I try not to predict. I always say I pick my preferences, who I would rather wins, right? And where I don't have a preference, I just stay neutral and just watch the fight for what it is with no stakes. It's so difficult to predict mixed martial arts fights. It's going to end in the first round by this, by submission, by striking, TKO. It's going to end in the fifth round. It's going to end in the third round. You really can't predict it. Isn't that why mixed martial arts is so exciting? The fact that you can't predict shit. You can't say who's going to win. You could bet, you could have the odds, but in the middle of the fight, things start to go differently from what you expect. Literally, mixed martial arts mantra should be, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. That should be the official mantra for mixed martial arts. UFC, look into that. Take the rights from, buy the rights from Mike Tyson, because I think Mike Tyson is credited to having made that statement. But that's just what it is. So when Demetrius Johnson, I bring this back because when Demetrius Johnson makes predictions, he's speaking from a professional point of view of how he sees the fight going. It's nothing personal. I watched DJ's podcast. It's nothing personal. DJ has everybody on there. He's good to everybody. He laughs with everybody. He just says this as an analyst, right? And the same thing with Joe Rogan, same thing with DC, although DC can be biased sometimes, but the same thing with Joe Rogan, the same thing with DC, the same thing with John Gooden, the same thing with Dan Hardy, the same thing with John Anik, Big John McCarthy. Whenever these guys speak about fights and predictions and tactics, it's nothing personal, Belal. So don't be mad at DJ, okay? Don't be mad at DJ. You can't be mad at Usman because that's your competitor. You can be mad at Volkanovski because I can see how Volk trying to insinuate that he will fight you, can put a little fire in your ass. I see how that can happen. But with DJ, what you can never fight. You're never going to fight DJ. I think you can learn a lot from Demetrius Johnson's fight IQ and knowledge of the fight game. No disrespect. You are the champ right now, Belal. But, I think there's more to gain from someone like Demetrius Johnson than there is to lose. And I just think there's no point in beefing in that direction. Your beef is better placed with people in your division, right? Can we agree on that? I will leave it here. I don't know how time really fucking flies. It's so amazing how easily time flies, and I'm just talking, and I feel like I try to wrap these things up. Try to make them as short as possible. I just go on. I can go on talking about this shit forever. Anyway, if you've been here this long, I thank you. I love you. I appreciate you. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification button, share this video, and most importantly, engage. Mr. TDC is signing off on this one because I feel really good after watching UFC Fight Night Abu Dhabi, Cory Sandhagen versus Umar Nurmagomedov. It lit a fire in my soul, reminded me on why I love this sport so much. Man, I'm feeling good, right? I'm feeling really good about this one. All right, guys, I'll see you on the next one. I'll see you on the next one.